Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the show, and you are watching UBC TV. We come to you live from the Nile Avenue. It's time for the agenda, and this morning on the agenda we're looking at an update on the Ebola virus. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. Now, on May 17th, 2026, the World Health Organization declared the Ebola outbreak in Africa a public health emergency of international concern. The first cases of the outbreak were reported in the Democratic Republic of the Congo's Ituri province. As the region confronts yet another Ebola outbreak, let's take a look back at the history of the virus in the DRC and Uganda, two countries that have experienced some of Africa's most significant Ebola epidemics. One of the world's deadliest viruses that has claimed more than 15,000 lives since it was first identified in 1976, including over 11,000 deaths during the 2014 to 2016 West Africa outbreak and more than 3,000 deaths in the Democratic Republic of the Congo alone. Now, the 2014 to 2016 epidemic remains the largest Ebola outbreak in history, and it began in Guinea and spread to Sierra Leone and Liberia, resulting in more than 28,600 infections and at least 11,325 deaths. Now, the first recorded Ebola outbreaks occurred in 1976 in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And looking at some of the numbers since then, in 1976, DRC recorded 318 cases and 280 deaths. In 1977, DRC recorded 1 case and 1 death. In 1995, DRC recorded 315 cases and 254 deaths. In 2000, Uganda recorded 425 cases and 224 deaths. In 2001, the Democratic Republic of Congo recorded 59 cases and 44 deaths. In 2003, the DRC recorded 178 cases and 157 deaths. In 2005, the DRC recorded 12 cases and 10 deaths. In 2007, Uganda recorded 131 cases and 42 deaths, while DRC that very same year recorded 264 cases and 187 deaths. In 2008, DRC recorded 32 cases and 15 deaths. In 2011, Uganda recorded 1 case and 1 death. In 2012, Uganda recorded 11 cases and 4 deaths, while DRC recorded 38 cases and 13 deaths. In 2014, DRC recorded 69 cases and 49 deaths. In 2017, DRC recorded 8 cases and 4 deaths. In 2018, DRC recorded 3,524 cases and 2,320 deaths. In 2020, DRC recorded 130 cases and 55 deaths. In 2021, DRC recorded 23 cases and 18 deaths. In 2022, Uganda recorded 164 cases and 55 deaths, while DRC recorded 6 cases and 6 deaths. In 2025, Uganda recorded 12 cases and 4 deaths, while DRC recorded 64 cases and 45 deaths. This brings Uganda's cumulative total to 813 Ebola cases and 375 deaths recorded throughout its history. Now, in comparison, the Democratic Republic of Congo has recorded 4,987 cases and 3,458 deaths, making it the country most affected by Ebola outbreaks in history. Now, here's where the rare but deadly Ebola virus comes from and how it's transmitted. Scientists believe fruit bats are the natural hosts of the Ebola virus, and infected animals like apes and porcupines can spread the virus to other animals. Humans can become infected through close contact with ill or dead animals in the forests, and scientists believe humans first contracted Ebola through hunting, handling and eating infected wild animals. Now, the infection is spread between people by direct contact with bodily fluids or contaminated surfaces. Each infected person infects an average of 2 people. Scientists believe the incubation period is between 2 to 21 days. And once the virus enters a community, it spreads quickly between people through the direct contact with bodily fluids or contaminated surfaces. That is a brief of what Ebola has looked like in Africa between 1976 up to date. And it's important that you also know clarity and have clarity of the fact that the media center also released a press communique there that no schools have been closed, no districts are under lockdown. Important that you clear that out, because it's been a rumor buzzing around that it's important that you know the facts as they come. Once again, I welcome you to the show, and this morning we're having an update on the Ebola virus with Dr. Daniel Chabainze, who is the Director of Public Health at the Ministry of Health. Be part of the show, 0709 602 592. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for that excellent teaching and taking us through the history of Ebola. I felt it's very educative,
right,
and it brings us to a level where people know that what we are handling is yet new, but at the same time it's a challenging disease to handle. Thank you for all the numbers. I appreciate the way you've taken the Ugandans through the numbers, including myself, that because some of the numbers in Congo I was not so up to speed with them.
Right. And I think the numbers have given me hope, especially for Uganda, that Uganda has really put up a good fight. Yes,
when you compare the number of cases we've ever had and the fatality, the people we've lost over time, when you do the cumulative numbers, with over 813 people who have ever caught Ebola, and we've majority have survived. That's a good story to tell.
Indeed. Now, Doctor, where are we? What's the latest update?
So the Director General released his most recent update, and you know, we promised every Friday we shall be releasing an update to give the Ugandans the most recent numbers, what they need to do. But it's not a matter of just counting. So the update won't be like, oh, how many more new cases? Of course, we got 2 more new cases, and they were both Congolese, people who have traveled into our country, so that now the confirmed cases have reached 11. This is an evolving number. Every day we do test the people we've put in the isolation, we do test the people we've put in quarantine, but we are using that to track, because once we start the countdown, it's that last person who is confirmed sick who determines how quick we can bring this outbreak to an end. You remember, we count 42 days from the last person who falls sick. So 2 incubation cycles. Incubation is that from the time you contact a sick person to the time when you can last show that you were infected is up to 21 days. That's the information, and that gives us the roadmap in how the world can declare us Ebola free. So as we treat these ones, as we track, we are also preparing how quickly can we get back to normal when we are declared Ebola free. This has been affecting our movement, affecting the way we report things. You've seen a lot of buzz on your social media with a lot of misinformation and disinformation. So when we come out and we clarify these facts, it's very important. Like the one you've just mentioned about schools. Schools are open.
Right.
About lockdown, no district is under lockdown.
Right. And you therein talk about the way it's affecting the way we are doing everything. And one of the biggest things it affects, it looks small, but it's rather big because it's only human nature, is the way we interact, the way we interact with each other, greet each other, just relate with each other. Now, it's, many times, every time you have to say hello to someone, you always have to think first, like, as you're going to give a hug, you're held in between the hug and...
It's unnatural. It's unnatural to greet, and we are so affectionate, we are so bound in our cultures, we are so affectionate in the way we relate, we are so social. And once such an outbreak comes, it constrains our expressing who we are, and yes, it feels strange.
It really is. But how is the Ministry of Health strengthening surveillance, especially within the communities and health facilities?
So surveillance has many facets.
Right.
We can do surveillance on so many fronts, because we know that we closed the border. So now after you close and put some intervention, you must know that your intervention is working. So once the border was closed, now we are doing surveillance of the people who continue to cross through the official means, because we also know trade was not closed. People will still come in with cargo and take out cargo and trucks for food and merchandise. That continued. But you remember, there are people moving into the hot spots. Secondly, we do surveillance on the people who have come in recently in the last 21 days from the Congos. Either they have crossed through communities that are able to tell us, either they have come to health facilities seeking care, because we need to even look backwards. Did anybody come in and was treated and we are not able to pick the signals? We're doing surveillance for every person who dies, and it's not trauma, it's not an accident, it's not a known disease, even when it's a known disease, but it was not a disease due to an accident or trauma. So we want to know what was the cause. So we do also what we call mortality surveillance. I think those are people who have been reading, we say for all the people who have been buried in a certain area, we come and review. All the hospitals are giving us information on who is dying, what have they died of, then we take a sample and we test. We don't want to miss any clue. We're also now talking about the funeral services. We are telling them how to handle dead bodies, how to inform us. Even the community are now telling us who is dying in the community, why are they burying, because these are signals of what may have been not picked at the start of the epidemic. Good enough is that we have not found anything warranting our steady handling and stable way of managing the outbreak. So that's the good news. However, every time you think you are doing well, that's when you should be more alert. We need to deal away with the mindset that Uganda has handled this outbreak before better. Every new outbreak gives us a new experience. So we are not working on the past experience. We are taking this as a new and fresh enemy. Every battle is different, and this is a battle. We see our response as a battle, and we have people in harm's way. You know that almost half of the people who were first identified and we put in the quarantines and isolation were health workers. So our frontline health workers were in harm's way. They are now being restricted movement, being monitored. So it can be a dire situation for the families, and it puts us on a lot of tension as health workers responding. However, God has been good to us. We are beginning to see success and good outcomes for the people we've put in treatment. They are all performing well. They are recovering. But that said, it is also our biggest risk, because word goes round that people are being managed. And where there is dire need across the border, once that information leaks outside, it's going to put our borders on high strain for people attempting. Like when I was here last time, we talked about what do we do when people get good results that Uganda is managing the outbreak. The people who were admitted are being discharged from treatment. Yes, right. Those kind of challenges. But surveillance, government has put surveillance at the airport. Who is coming in? You fill in a detail. Why are you coming in? Where were you in the last 21 days? We screen for your temperature. That's part of surveillance. You fill a detail and say, where is your previous travel? If you've been to the DRC, we then take closer look. If you've been there, regardless of how you've come in, even if it's not directly from the DRC, some people can decide to take third-party routes. They can board from anywhere without stigmatizing any country. But then they come in as if they're coming from another country. Yes, so we need to say, where were you in the last 21 days? And actually, I think it's even important now to care for other travels, other countries, because recently I watched Sky News and they reported that Brazil has also reported cases of Ebola. Brazil? Brazil. Oh. Yes, Brazil. Oh, I have not read that. I watched it yesterday on Sky News and I was quite shocked. So that means even now, not only should we care for those coming from the DRC, it looks like we have to even now pay more heed to any other countries, because now it looks like it's starting to have pockets outside of Africa. But we also know that there were some Americans who were lifted from Congo and taken to Germany, and others in Czech Republic for quarantining and the high-level contact. So we know that the disease has left borders, and it's even they have a case in Europe.
Yeah, it's out
of course,
Africa.
Nobody reports about it. Of course.
I know, right?
Biased reporting.
Biased reporting, indeed. And that's why we make sure that we give you facts as they come, because facts help you make well-informed decisions, and of course also help you to follow guidelines, because when we do not report factually as the media, we mislead the masses, which is not good stewardship at the end of the day. Be part of the conversation. We're having an update on the Ebola virus with Dr. Daniel Chabainze, and he is the Director Public Health at the Ministry of Health. 0709 602 592. Good morning, Doctor. This is Emma Okiring chatting from Kampala, Banda. How will I stay away from Ebola? That's his question. And the other question we can note is, good morning, I'm Paul from Palisa. Thank you for the show. Have a lovely morning. Okay, thank you very much, Paul. Have a lovely morning as well. Thank you for watching the show. Please, Doctor, speak to Daniel, who comes, rather Emma, who is in Banda. How can he stay away from Ebola?
Emma Okilong from Banda, thank you for tuning in. We know the simple rules or the simple guidelines to keep away from Ebola, because it's a contact disease. You can only catch Ebola if, like we are here in the studio, I handshake you, I touch your sweat, I touch your excreta, urine and poo-poo, I touch your blood, saliva, or we have an intimate relationship, and those body fluids are exchanged, just to be conversant of our people listening. But those are the known methods of transmission. However, we have followed up people, and we also know that social distancing, don't touch, don't hug, is one layer. But also keep away from crowds you don't need to be in. Unlike COVID, which was helpful by using a mask, the layer of being able to prevent this is to move with your sanitizer. So when we move with your sanitizer, I move with my small red sanitizer. When I touch a surface I'm not sure of, I get my hands and sanitize, because these hands can be the source of transmission of the disease. How can you prevent Ebola? Don't touch anybody sick. When people start showing symptoms, they are very infectious when they have Ebola. When you already have a temperature, and these signs and symptoms we know, when you have headache, severe headache, some people get chest pains, others are coughing, others are weak, they're complaining of muscle pains. But the challenge is these signs and symptoms can also be in other diseases. So we are playing a very narrow, high level of suspicion. So how do we separate those we need to follow up different from the rest? Have you been to the Congo, DRC? Have you participated in a burial? When a person with Ebola dies, they are the most infectious. Their body has been overwhelmed with the virus. Everything you touch about that dead person, you are literally bathing in the virus, and you are most likely going to get infected. That's why we are advising that all burial must be supervised of Ebola cases, like we did in the past. If you're not sure, we use body bags which can't leak. This must be dignified burial with a normal coffin, with the people who are dressed up, draped up, to be the one to participate in the burial. Secondly, if your loved ones are sick, leave them to be managed by the health facility. Also have some sanitizer at home, have some jik, have some soap and sanitizers, even alcohol-based sanitizers, so that you can. So I think, Emma, those are the things. Don't touch the vomiters. People vomiting, people having diarrhea. Yesterday we were talking with the taxi drivers, we are talking about bus drivers. They should have something to sanitize anywhere they had an additional case or any scare in their setup.
Indeed. Indeed, indeed. Thank you very much, Doctor, for that information. Be part of the conversation, 0709 602 592. Ask that question away, Doctor. With the patients that have been discharged, those who are well, the DRC Congo has quite a number of successful, those that are healing, and in Uganda, I believe we also have registered. Now, if a patient is discharged, what happens to them as they are let out into the community?
So the people who are now so far ready for discharge and being removed from the treatment center are Congolese nationals. So we shall have a chance to discharge them with a package. Remember, they're not going back to the previous home. We need to destroy the beddings they were in. We need to take them through the package. What do you go back home with? What are the beddings that you are using which must be decontaminated? So your home must be decontaminated, otherwise you remain a source of infection. You remain a source of infection to the community. We would love to hand this over at the right appropriate time to their representatives, their diplomats here, but we also give them a certificate of discharge. But we also follow up survivors, and that will be another discussion. But we follow up all Ebola survivors because we have followed up some and we see that they remain, there is a possibility of them remaining with some Ebola viruses if they are breastfeeding in the milk, and also their other body fluids like semen for the men.
How long does it stay in the body even after one has healed?
So we tell them to use, if they're going to go back and join up with their loved ones, we advise them to use condoms for a minimum of 6 to 1 year. The longest they are followed up and they still detect something from research is almost coming to 1 year.
Wow.
So,
and for moms, breastfeeding moms?
That one taps, as soon as they stop breastfeeding, it stops coming. So there's nothing else to follow up. But I'll also be able to clarify that in the next next time I come to share with you. I have not yet read up all the details in regards to the milk.
Right. Be part of the conversation. We're having an Ebola update and we're also learning and unlearning things that are not factual, right? Doctor talked about having sanitizer on you all the time. Have something as portable as this, all right? Very portable, and you can hold it in your hands. Have it anywhere you are, that anytime you feel that you've touched something unsafe, you're just able to spread, and that is spread into your palms, and just have yourself sanitized and
this
clean.
Is my small one.
Wow, yeah.
I move with it also. It's a very handy one. It's a gel
very handy.
vest.
It's actually more handy than mine.
Yes, so it's easy to have some of this, or you can even refill it if it's over, and then you put it in your jacket and you move with it. It's a precaution. So Emma from from Banda, I think. Yes. Indeed.
Doctor, allow me get into more of the questions or commentary that's coming through so much. But Emma from Banda says, thank you very much, Doctor. And somebody else comes through and says, good morning, UBC. Why do our security personnel keep allowing these Congolese to travel between Aru town in DRC and Mahagi in Bunia through Vura, Logiri and Paida on motorcycles? We are well aware that these people have always been giving money to security personnel. Now, what is alarming is that Bunia is actually the epicenter of the Ebola virus. Number two, why should nationals be kept in strict conditions, then allowing the Congolese to move freely in Uganda? Number three, the government should take a serious caution on this Ebola outbreak because we are not safe at Zombo district here. Someone from Zombo district to the world. So thank you so much, the representative of Zombo district. Good morning, doctor. Thank you for the show. I'm Ijala from Kumi. I have persistent cough. Does it mean that I have Ebola? Thank you. That will be answered. Good morning, doctor. This is Aaron from Bududa. I'd like to know the immediate danger signs of Ebola virus. Thank you for the acknowledgement to the country. And good morning, this is Jeff from Palisa. Kindly help me know the most Ebola risky places in Uganda currently. Hello, Dr. Daniel. This is Savelord from Naguru. Now that there is an outbreak of Ebola, where does it leave us, the students? Will there be need of a lockdown? And somebody else says, hi, I'm Bendoski from Gulu. How will I control myself from getting infected with Ebola? Some of it the doctor has replied, but perhaps he will reiterate. Morning presenter and the mentor. Can Ebola spread before symptoms show? Carlos Okelo from Lira. And Kay, good morning UBC, good morning doctor. Thank you very much for the show. This is Sheila watching from Tororo with that few commentary. Doctor, please speak into it.
Thank you very much. I wanted to start with Shira from Tororo thanking us, Benedict from Lira. She said, can you spread Ebola if symptoms?
Before symptoms show?
No. You can only spread Ebola when symptoms start showing up. It's also an indication of the level of infectivity or the number of infective virus or viral load that's in your body. I mean, when we talk about viral load, the people who are having HIV know about viral load.
Right.
You know that you can also be on treatment for HIV and the viral load becomes so low that you even stop transmitting HIV to the child born.
Yes, yes.
So that's how mother-to-child treatment centers have been able to say HIV-positive mothers can have safe and HIV infected children. It's that level of knowing that when the viral load is still low, you are not. In fact, the picture of HIV can help you translate. When you are not sick, when you have a lot of illness and signs and symptoms of when HIV moves from HIV infection to AIDS, when you have diseases, it's an indication that your viral load is so high and you can still spread the disease. I'm not saying when you don't have AIDS, you can't spread HIV. Any sexual contact with any unknown person's sexual status is a risk to any Ugandan. So as I talk about Ebola, I can't forget about HIV in the young population. There is nothing like casual sex. There is nothing like safe sex without knowing each other's serostatus and also using protective means if you must to. Condoms and taking the new drug which is available to prevent people, and if you've had a sexual encounter, using PrEP, all these things you need to promote, because we cannot talk about one disease and we stop. Holistically, for you to be alive, you are fearing Ebola, but HIV is already in the community, in the youth around you, in the sex workers around. About maybe Ebola is going to be
will help now.
to let you know if you have a sexual encounter with a sex worker who has had Ebola, you are going to get the disease because you don't know where she's been.
And that's true.
And she plies that trade in these where you remember when HIV was spread along the truck lanes?
Yes.
People were sleeping somewhere.
And
Ebola
the fishing community.
Yes, Ebola will take the same route because the same way it was transmitted then can easily be the same way we are going to transmit Ebola. So if we are going to cut any transmission, we are going to be responsible citizens. As individuals, as communities, fisher folks, truck drivers, we don't want to stigmatize them, but they spend a lot of time on the road. They move to high-risk places.
Indeed. And doctor, even before we move on, allow me ask, how fast do the symptoms show?
So the symptoms can show from day 1 to day 21, from the time you got infected. That's what we call the incubation period. So
it's possible to have got it on day 1 and nothing is showing within
until day 21. Until you crack day 21, we're not so sure you're not going to show signs and symptoms. But beyond day 21, you are sure you never got infected. So that's how we've released the people who have been in our isolation. You remember the first person who we encountered with Ebola, when we look backwards, was on 10th May. Today is 2nd, so we are beyond the 21 days. So the first full cycle is over. So anybody who was self-isolating as a contact of the first 2 people, that they have run the race. So we are now comfortable. Many people are going to be coming back to our communities. Please receive them well. Understand that they have been kept away so that in case they get any symptoms, we can give them treatment quickly, but they've also sacrificed their many weeks to keep Uganda safe. Please receive them, encourage them, congratulate them, and let's have a prayer thanksgiving for them for coming home because they've survived that 21-day scare.
Indeed. Let's look at more of the questions that were
So asked. Bernard Jeff said, what are the risky places? We've just mentioned any risky place, burials, congregate setting, touching the dead bodies, visiting the sick in the hospitals. In fact, we should restrict if you don't have to visit. Long ago we said children cannot go to visit people in hospitals. Recently I see people coming to hospitals with children.
Yes.
It's not allowed. You are not meant to go to hospital to visit the loved ones with children unless they're children who are going to see their parents for a reason. In fact, actually now some hospitals have bird visitations.
I recently had to visit someone close to my heart at the hospital, and I was told to stop. And they asked the caretaker to come and see me and then go back.
Yes. So let's also now, during this kind of times, the other ones we are seeing people from Congo or Congolese who are beginning to visit the private hospitals. So we need to let the private hospitals be alert. These people come and they have disguised their names. They may not tell you their nationality. One of the key things, they don't speak the local language. So they will either have an interpreter or speak Swahili or speak other languages. But the people, like somebody who called from Arua, the families, the Arua communities are on both sides of the country. In fact, the majority of the, I hope I'm right, you will correct me, the people who are on the border districts, we do have a bigger community of the Arua community. So they speak the same language. So you can't wonder, you can't know who has been across or in the country. But now we are depending on those who are in the country to tell us who has been across, who is a likely person. To get sick, you must have gotten in touch with somebody sick. And you should be able to remember.
Right.
Oh no. Otherwise, Jeff, thank you. Also, Bernadette saying the danger signs, I've already said.
Yes,
there are no danger signs you'll see quickly. And persistent cough, somebody from Kumi called TB. Why would you have a persistent cough? Go and see your physician, go and see your doctor. Tell them, are you having persistent coughs? Are they associated with coughing up blood? Or is the mucus? When does you get fevers alongside the for TB?
Indeed. Thank you very much. Doctor, we are having a conversation on Ebola, an Ebola update. And this conversation, we're having it with Dr. Daniel Chabayinze, the Director of Public Health at the Ministry of Health. Be part of the conversation, 0709-602592. Just by your screen are a bit of the statistics that are rolling through and sliding through as we share more information, learning, unlearning, and relearning, and putting up this fight against Ebola so that at the end of the day we are able to interact as normally as we always do and should as human beings. Now the comments are many, so without more of them to make sure that each viewer is favorably considered on the show. Hello, good morning. This is Collins from Otuke. What are the side effects of Ebola disease after recovery? And someone else comes through. Is it like corona that goes viral within a short time? Okay, what are the downsides you don't usually tell patients? In other words, side effects, cost, time, impact on daily life. This is Samuel from Gulu. Thank you very much, Samuel. I'm Mokisa Benjamin from Bujiri. How can I differentiate between signs of Ebola from those of other diseases? Okay, someone has just I think they're sharing, okay, they're on sanitizer. You say, I keep this in my pocket and use it always. Thank you for the good program. Thank you very much. And thank you for having your sanitizer with you. Good morning, doctor. I'm Stephen from Precious Junior School. Arua City, can Ebola be transmitted to someone who has recovered from the illness? Thank you. Good morning. My name is Brian. Someone who is in step 2 hypertension. Can they play soccer and it lowers my hypertension? Can I play soccer and it lowers my hypertension? How effective are exercises? Okay, I'd like to find out from you, how can nursery going pupil be protected? I'm Peter from Amuria District. Good morning. Thank you. The Ugandan authority has allowed the trucks to cross the borders. These truck drivers are upon arriving the country, they share hotels, eating places with the citizens. What are you preventing by stopping other people to cross the borders and allow the cargoes to cross? I am from Arua district. Hello, UBC, thank you for the show. This is Sadiki from Palisa, Kasodo, Najaneti. Doctor, I want to know which borders are now closed within Uganda. Good morning. How long does Ebola last? I'm from Moroto, and you say indeed, how long does Ebola last? Good morning, but let the borders close strictly and the people near those border points be vigorous and chase them violently. Asthma can be consistent, couch with a lot of congestion in the chest. Okay, we're having a conversation on Ebola. Good morning once again, UBC. I'm Rasul Idris from Zombo district. We are indeed at the border, and we realize that we have many tribes who live in both Uganda and Congo border, and the government should emphasize on SOP at the border, and if possible, border travel should be stopped. And that brings us to the end of the comments that we have so far. Doctor, please speak into them, those that you've...
Thank you very much. I am so excited that the people from Zombo, a border district, and Arua are calling and listening.
Right.
The people in Zombo and Arua, you have the responsibility of keeping the rest of Ugandans safe. Please and please and please. What are the signs and symptoms? You may not be able to distinguish between a person with malaria and Ebola. But once you tell us where the people have been and what they have participated in, we increase our level of suspicion, and then the health workers can isolate you or treat you separate from the rest. The challenge we had is that the first cases were been put with other patients. So once we discover their Ebola, then everybody who was on that ward now becomes a contact, and we have to isolate them. Those are some of the drastic measures. People have sacrificed their own lives to make sure the rest of Uganda is okay. The person who talked about from Palisa border crossing, we've stopped border crossing. The truck drivers and the people have been given a digital tool, which we yesterday had a discussion with Uganda Professional Drivers Network, and we're going to give them sanitizers, we're giving them locators, and app to tell us where they've gone. You remember during COVID, we could track them from border to border, and we are able to track that. The way URA tracks their truck, that you get a seal at one point and you exit. We are going to modify, we have already modified some of those treatments. Hypertension and exercise, yes, exercise does a lot of good to your body. So somebody from Bujiri asked, Arua City, the repair you're talking about, the diagnostics, I've talked about that. Somebody from Gulu was taking us the side effects of the cost. It's very expensive to treat one Ebola case, just one. You can imagine how much you dress up, how many different skills you do, how much space you need to put them, how many people you need to take away as risk contact. Just one patient is very, very, very expensive. Just to put away one patient. Can you imagine?
Right.
You close down the whole treatment unit where they have been treated.
Even up to death.
Up to the time when they die, you still have to bury them. You have to keep the body. Whoever touches, whoever treats. And there is no, at the moment, there is no vaccine and there is no known treatment for Bundibugyo Ebola virus. So the way we keep you alive is giving you early treatment. That's why we need everybody who has been suspected to be brought to the treatment units so that we confirm and start giving them that support. And we are having good success. Somebody from Otuke said what are side effects of Ebola. Side effects are meaning what lingers on after you've finished. We talked about men having a potential to remain with the virus. A small percentage remain the virus in their semen. So going back, we give them counseling how to reunite with their loved ones or spouses so that they don't start another chain of transmission by just the way HIV is transmitted from one sexual partner to another. That potential still remains. However, we don't want you to stigmatize the people who have been treated and are cured and released. They are going to be responsible. I think that's the bulk of the questions. Peter from Moria asked about the truck drivers. Somebody from Moroto, how long does Ebola last? When you fall sick, and you start showing symptoms, we think that in 1 to 2 weeks you should be okay. Otherwise, if you don't respond and cure in those 2 weeks, the chances are we've gotten you very late.
Very profound. Now, doctor, as we begin, in fact, to close this conversation, which hospitals should be approached the moment a case is discovered or someone discovers that they are not okay? Which immediate hospitals? Because usually in medical terms or terminology, they'll tell you that go to the nearest healthcare center for that first aid treatment. So
6767 is a text you can send to our information center, or you can call 0800 1066. That's the number you call to give us any alert or any information. Where do you go for treatment? You cannot decide that you should go for the treatment yourself. But if you suspect highly that's Ebola, any health worker will be able to come around and evaluate your symptoms. First of all, your travel history, your nationality at the moment. Do you work for Congolese? Do you drive the Congolese? Are you Uber driver? We have one Uber driver in isolation who has been driving them. Are you been working in a hotel and you've been the one washing the linen? We need to put you in isolation. So all those are signals of who is at risk. Being at risk is different from being sick. So people should not be running away, oh, I'm at risk, because then you may run away and infect your family, you infect your children. So we need to know who are the close family members who have been looking after a sick person. We've found that some people come with both Ebola, but they also have malaria. Malaria symptoms are similar to what you would feel before Ebola becomes worse, before you start vomiting, diarrhea, and then bleeding from the nose, ear, orifices. I think orifices is a big word. Through your anus and the penis or private parts. But that's a very late sign. So you're not going to go to the road and say, oh, this one is bleeding from the nose. And then when you start bleeding, you don't have red eyes. So that's a one-off. You know, we've always lived with people who have nosebleed. So not every nosebleed is that. Somebody talked about chronic cough. I forgot to say there is asthma. There is what job do you do? Some people are working in mines. They are crushing stones. They are working in sand mines. They are always where there is dusk. Their work is to grind terrazzo. I have seen all those people who are exposed. You work in a cement hardware. You have no mask. You are going to cause a problem to your lungs, and you may need oxygen for the rest of your life. So put a mask if you work in a place with dust, because those particles go to the lungs and you'll never stop coughing. That's why we want to have a clean environment. So all these are important to talk about in terms of health. But now that we're talking about Ebola, I need to answer some of the things. There are many things we can teach ourselves along the way if we make this a regular and a productive conversation with the rest of the Ugandans.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Doctor, for your time. Our time is fast spent, and the conversation has to end here. But Doctor, what are your parting shots?
My parting shots to the Ugandans: thank you for being responsible, but remain vigilant, because the people who have been sick have gone to private labs and private hospitals in the areas where we know there are large Congolese communities. And you know them, and some hotels. Machindie, maybe let me not specify, Zambia, those areas where we know that there are big Congolese communities. Let's be alert. Secondly, there is no risk to the children in schools. That has been a big concern for everybody in the country. There is no risk for children in schools, and all the old media circulating TikToks are false and wrong, and handle and treat them with all this contempt, contempt you can.
Right. And quickly, before we even close this, I've just remembered that in approach to health centers, do we approach public health centers strictly, or we can approach any health center that can take it on from there?
I think the best way is to go to the public health centers, because we've prepositioned ambulances there. But any health center should now be alert, because they'll be able to refer. And we don't want you to go into a taxi and predispose all the border riders who will carry you, and the hospitals and the people in the public means to in case it's an Ebola, then to cause them to become contacts. Contacts is anybody who has been in close proximity with you when we've confirmed you are sick.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Dr. Daniel Chabainze, Director of Public Health at the Ministry of Health, been speaking with us on the updates of the Ebola virus. We bring it to a close and the show ends here. But Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono is coming through with Good Morning Uganda, the extra. Good morning for God and my country.
The first recorded Ebola outbreak occurred in 1970. And right now, we break down the information on Ebola cases and deaths that occurred 50 years ago. One of the world's deadliest viruses has claimed more than 15,000 lives since it was first identified in 1976, including over...
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by...
I'll call you every day, yeah yo,
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Are you looking for a home away from home? Then this is the place for you. My name is Chini Kaji, and welcome to Hotel Le Confidential. With 84 comfortable rooms where you can relax and feel safe. Each room has a lovely view of green vegetation, Wi-Fi, air conditioning, and a tasty breakfast.
Children can have fun at our kids' water park and our kids' play area. You can also enjoy our world-class health club, spa, sauna, gym, boutique, and sky blue swimming pool.
Thank you for choosing Hotel Le Confidential, where every stay is unforgettable. Come and stay in comfort, right at home, today, tomorrow, and always.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules, plant extract, scientific ratio, take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
General, to invest in taxation. When people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo, clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads. individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. Cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned, or what we have stopped, is the use of container leaders. Now, Fiona, the good news I have for you is that among the new tax proposals,
now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
I know what Uganda needs. When General Caleb Akantwanaho retired, Salim Saleh presented his long, detailed analysis of Uganda's economy and structured recommendations for improvement in the form of the Third National Development Plan, NDP-3, to President Museveni. He laid out the kinds of problems that many Ugandans feel every